more the nitty-gritty of what you guys are gonna get into. Last week was the pretty stuff.
It wasn't pretty.
Now, what we're gonna go through here, I'm far from a professional or, well versed in Robert's Rules of Order. And that's pretty much how the meetings in these places are run.
Yes. Just
Just
act like you're with your Italian family, and you have to, yeah.
I gotta do some more time. All right, the central committees, or the county parties, they're basically, the guidelines for them are the bylaws, or they call it, a constitution. That's usually adopted when the party is first created. Every so often they'll go through and they'll have bylaw meetings where they'll make proposed changes to the bylaws. Usually when you look in the bylaws, that's your, if you will, your Bible of the way things go, the way things proceed as far as offices, things along that line. They like to try to make them vague for the reason they think it's to their benefit. And it is. If it's not covered in the bylaws, automatically reverts to Robert's Rules of Order. Without getting involved in this, Robert's Rules of Order is probably the most boring book in the world. I wanted to be an officer in a golf league that I was in when I was younger. Guys, I thought this was fine. Go to the library, get Robert's Rules of Orders, read it, show me you know it, and I'll nominate it. Got the book, I got 5 minutes into it, and I no longer wanted to be an officer in golf. It's very confusing if you're not seeing it actually take place. So what happens is in these meetings, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll go by their bylaws, you'll get an agenda for the meeting, and that'll set the outline of the meeting. And what you guys are gonna end up seeing, and in all the counties, again, it's different. Being from Cuyahoga County, it's just combative in nature to start when you walk into meetings. Down here, from what I understand, it's a little bit different, maybe not as confrontational. But there are going to be some things that you guys are going to want to push through and get done that you don't like what's going on now. And this is what you're going to use, and this is going to be pretty much your best friend. So with that, I would suggest there's two different books. This is the thick Robert's Rules of Order. This is the 10th edition. I bought this one here at Borders. There is a smaller hand version that you can go to as a quick reference guide, but it always refers you back to this book here. So the best thing I found to do is to, unless you can memorize this pretty good, is to just go get this book, read it, and you'll understand it after you go to a few meetings. But as you can see, this is dirty, there's dog ears. When you go into a meeting, you have your little hand marks, because you're going to have to actually sit there. It's going to be like a chess game on some of these things. And you guys are going to need to coordinate yourselves. Okay, this is what they want to do. How do we want to do it? How do we want to stop this? You're going to find some people in the room already that are trying to combat some of this stuff and things along that line. But this is very, very handy. If you go in there, these meetings, and you make a motion to tell them how great they are, they'll let you do it out of order in any way that you want. If you go in these meetings and you want to do something that they don't really want to accept, they're going to make sure you go by the book. And it's not always the book. Sometimes it's their version of the book. So when you go into a meeting, they'll have the agenda, usually up at the front of the room. What's this gentleman's name? Bill. Yeah, you're on the central committee down here, correct? Yeah. Okay, so just jump in, give me a hand if you hear or see anything that,
Okay, if I can stay away.
I'll put you to say that fast?
It's not you, it's the setters. You're making it interesting.
That's what my ex-wife told me. But, you know, the parliamentarian that's usually sitting up at the table. He is appointed by the chairman. Parliamentarian is the one that determines if motions are in and out of order. That's going to be the guy that you're most likely going to be challenging if you don't like what's going on or if they're going out of order. So the first thing with that, we'll get to the decorum of the meetings. Pretty much, the rule of thumb is you never address anybody by name. It's, committee member from, Bedford 4C, or Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Parliamentarian. That's probably, addressing in third-party manner such as that. These meetings in Robert's rules are supposed to be set up for the people in the minority. That only counts if you have the votes. And that's what we're going to get to here. So that's pretty much the way you address anything. They will cut you off right away. If you're not in order, as they call it, and they don't like what you're saying or doing, they will cut your feet right out from underneath you, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So this will try to give you a little bit of an insight and an opening as to what you're going to be seeing. It's going to take more on your part to get more accustomed to it and get more in depth with it.
If I can interject there too, even if you're not a precinct representative, you can still go. These meetings are public, so you can still go. Now you're not going to be able to, make a motion on this stuff, but you can start to get a feel as to how these things work. So even if you end up, well, I don't really want to be a representative, but I still want to know what's going on. Go, and then maybe the next time there's an election, now you'll be ready. Now you'll know what happens. They are open to the public every time.
The bylaws for the central committee of the county you're in, are they separate? I mean, is everybody's bylaws different?
All 88 counties, each county has a Democrat and a Republican party. Each party has its own set of bylaws.
And those are on the internet?
Well, some parties have them on the internet, or you can go through the Secretary of State's office
They
and
have to
get
be
them.
filed with the Secretary.
But they
of
are
State.
Oh,
public
okay.
records. And then the Ohio Republican Party, we spoke 2 weeks ago, they're also a separate entity with their own bylaws. We're in the process of trying to get them, we'll touch on that at the end of the meeting. And again, remember, none of these bodies have to answer to each other. There is no hierarchy amongst these parties. They're all pretty much equal and independent of themselves. As the meetings are going on, usually they'll go through new business, unfinished business, and this is where we start getting these. All right, to take the floor or to make a motion, as long as there is nothing going on, and sometimes that gets fast-paced, you need to be ready to jump up as soon as someone gets done talking, and they'll try to not acknowledge you. Okay, but to make a motion, it's just very simple. You just stand up right from where you're at, raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, proper way to do it is to say you move something. You can say I make a motion to, but usually they say, I move to, and then whatever you want to basically bring up in front of the assembly, okay? Which drops us right down into our different types of motions. Okay, the main motion is usually your initial motion. That is usually what is, or that is, not usually, that is what brings business in front of the committee. That's what, I move to strike something, I move to, recommend this to the committee. Appointments, I move to appoint so-and-so to this position, depending on where you're at in the different meetings. That's the way you take the floor, is you stand up, raise your hand, Mr. Chairman, I move to do this.